Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm gonna be recording how I make my review sheet for my nursing exams. Ever since I talked about how I make my review sheets and just how successful I am in all my exams, I've gotten a lot of questions on how I make them. So finally today I'm gonna be making an in-depth video on exactly how I create my review step by step. It's really important to understand that not everyone learns the same way, and my way is not going to be exactly how you learn best, but I think you can take a lot of these tips and kind of make them your own. I do make my review sheet on my computer, like I type everything. I stopped writing a long time ago because if you're in nursing school, the amount of time you study and all the things you study, I swear your hand gets numb and you just, I don't know, like my hand will literally physically hurt because of all the writing that I used to do. So I chose to just stop typing everything. And at first I was a little concerned because I used to consider myself a person that will only learn if I would like write things down. But I feel like the more I practice and the more I started typing things, I love it so much because I can literally study in my room laying down, I can study in the dark, I can study anywhere because it's in my computer, and so I don't have to be sitting down writing things. I can just chill out, type things, and review any time of the day. So I really love that. But like I said, you can take a lot of these tips and tricks and kind of create it in your own way, and you can also use it like if you were writing them instead of typing them. So let's just get right into the video before I make this intro super long. Okay, so I actually have been making these type of reviews for all my classes, and I started probably like 6 to 8 months after I started nursing school. At first I was kind of all over the place. I would study from my notes, I would study from the book, I would study from the PowerPoints, and I just felt so overwhelmed every time I had to study for an exam because I felt like all the information was all over the place and I felt the pressure to cover every single thing, like every different source. It was just too much. So I started creating a review where I would put all the information from my notes, from the book, things the teacher said, maybe little things from my friends' notes, and I would just create one sheet where I would go to and just study from that. So the most important thing that I can tell you right now is that you have to start early. You cannot start your review sheet 2 days before your exam because it's not gonna allow you to review it. It's not gonna allow you to take your time typing the things or writing the things, however you choose to do it. So I do recommend for you to start your review sheet at least a week before your exam, because like that it allows you to organize your notes and just everything, and you can kind of have fun making it, because I personally enjoy making the review, as weird as that might sound, because this is the time where I gather all the information from my notes, from the PowerPoints, things from the book, and I just put it in one thing. I also make it fun because I make it colorful. I add photos, I add my little notes, I add my little drawings. So all that really does helps, but make sure that you start it early so you have time to do all of that. Now it is important to also break down the lectures that you do. So for example, right now I'm virtually going to school, so a lot of my lectures, actually all of my lectures, are voiceovers. So what I do is I make sure that I break down my lectures. So like, let's say one PowerPoint or one lecture was 50 slides. I don't want to overwhelm myself, and I want to make sure that I am actually taking away from me writing my reviews. So then I break it down. So I'm like, okay, so today I'm just gonna do 25 slides. I'm gonna gather all the information. If I don't understand something, I'm gonna look for more information, like I said, in my books, or I'll ask my friends for their notes, like, did you understand this part? Can I see your notes? And just like gather all the information, but I'll make sure that those 25 slides I fully understand. So let's say I went through the 25 slides and I completely understand the whole thing. So then I'm like, okay, I guess I can do another 10 slides. So then I'll start writing the other 10 slides. The same thing, I gather all the information, I make sure I understand it, and just breaking down the lectures helps me out a lot, because you don't want to just like go in and type the 50 slides and not understand anything. When you are creating this review sheet, you are creating what you're going to be studying for the exam. So you have to make sure that it's condensed. You don't want to type long paragraphs. You don't want to type information that it's not important. And you might be asking, well, how do I know that it's not important? A lot of the times your teacher will tell you, guys, pay attention to this, or they will continuously repeat the same thing. They make little comments. A lot of teachers are very good at like remarking things that are important. Or for example, I had a teacher who would tell a story, a personal story, and then she will always say like, do you think that's important to know? And then, you know, as soon as she says that, highlight it, like circle it. And when you're writing your review sheet, make sure you add that information into your review sheet. But most importantly, make sure you condense it. Make sure that once you understand it, you only add key points and you don't add a whole paragraph. Well, my teacher told me that when she was a nurse, she had a patient. No, like, write little information that will remind you to that story, because you want to have a review sheet that when you are studying for your exam, you're not like, oh, I have 25 pages to go over. Even if it's 10 pages, because sometimes a lot of my reviews tend to be like 10 to 15 pages, and that might seem, oh my gosh, so crazy, but it's not, I promise you, because a lot of the times I do add pictures, so pictures take a lot more space, or I don't know, I just add little different things that make the review a little longer. But what I make sure is that I add key points. So I literally add like one sentence. So like, let's say if I'm talking about kidney disease, so I'll put in the title like kidney disease, and then if I'm talking about nutrition or something, I'll add nutrition therapy, and then I'll just add recommended intake of protein, and then just the number. You don't have to write a bunch of things. Like, make sure it's like little sentences. And I will show you guys the way I do my review, because I think it's important for you guys to see how I organize everything. I'm actually currently typing my review for my final exam, so I thought it was the perfect time for you guys to, you know, to learn the way I do things. But yeah, it's very important to keep it super condensed and just to the main point. Obviously, there's things that you do have to add more than a few words. So let's say there's something that you are still trying to understand, and it's not really something that you understood when you were, you know, doing lecture or something. Once you go back to trying to figure out what it is and you're reading your book, if you have to add a few sentences and you have to make it a little longer for you to understand it once you're reviewing or once you're studying, that's fine. But make sure that not every other point is like a whole paragraph, because that's gonna make you not want to study. And it's just, I don't know, me looking at a review sheet that is like full sentences just gives me anxiety. So I rather just see like main key points. Let me show you guys what I'm talking about by main key points. All right, guys, this is what I mean by condensing the information. So as you can see, all the little points that I have are just little like 2-word sentence. I don't add full paragraphs because that can just be very confusing. So I just add the important information. Here's the PowerPoint, and I take my notes here as I'm reading the lecture. And I also like to highlight things that the teacher says, you know, guys, make sure you understand this, or this is very important to know. So I like to highlight, and once I'm making my study guide, I make sure I also highlight it on my study guide, because, you know, I want to make sure that I understand those things. I write my review based on all my notes, but if you have a friend that is, you know, in the same class as you, and you know that she or he takes really good notes, I think it's a good idea if you guys share notes. And then once you're writing your review, if you don't understand something that you wrote on your notes, and for some reason you don't really understand what the teacher said, maybe looking at your friend's notes can really help you understand the subject. Or also you can go to your books and, you know, get more information from there, and just make sure that you understand. You don't want to add any information to your review sheet that it's not clear. So once you have put anything on your review sheet, you want to make sure that everything that you're writing on it, it's clear. Like, you want to make sure that you understand, you know it back and forth. And if you don't, then make sure you do your research. Like I said, you can either ask your professor, read your book, ask a friend, but don't just write anything on your review sheet that is going to confuse you once you're studying. So make it clear, make it condensed, and just to the point. I also think that it's very important for you not to just copy and paste. So for example, if you're like me that is typing your review sheet or that does everything on the computer, it's really important for you to actually type your own notes and type your own review sheet, because it's really easy to just copy and paste what's on the slide, on the PowerPoint slide, into your notes. But I promise you, I can tell you this from experience, there's been times that I've done lecture, I took my notes, and there might be something that I'm like, oh, like I don't fully understand it, it's not clicking. And once I'm writing my review sheet, for some reason, as I'm typing, I'm also like saying it out loud in my head. Well, not out loud, I'm saying it in my head, and for some reason when I'm writing, I'm like, wait a minute, that makes sense. I promise you, there's power behind you writing your own review sheet, because there's times that as you are saying it in your head, if for some reason it clarifies a few things that you were like confused about. It has happened too many times. And also you have to understand that as you're typing, you're reading, you're saying it in your head. That works as a study review by itself, because there's times that by the time I'm done writing and making sure that I understand everything, by the time I'm done with my review, I pretty much know like 75% of what's in the exam. And then the rest of the time that I have to study, it's literally just a review, because I understand everything that's on my review sheet. I don't know if that makes sense. So yeah, make sure you don't just copy and paste things to your review. Another thing that I like to do is to write myself little notes, or make little drawings on the side, or making sure that it looks fun for me when I look at it. I don't want to just look at a plain white and black review sheet. I like to color, I like to highlight, I like to add photos, or I like to add drawings. You can actually, once you're done with your review, you can print it out and actually add notes to it. I actually have done that for exams that I'm like, oh, I need to review more, I need to do something else, because when there's a subject or a class that I'm having a harder time, I try to study different ways. Now, I'm not saying that I read the book and then I do that, because that has never worked for me. I like to study from one resource and one resource only, which is always my review sheet. But I have printed out my review sheet before, and I have added little notes and like drawings. For example, in pharmacology, let's say when we were studying medications, if there was a medication that one of the contraindications was grapefruit, then I will write a big grapefruit next to the medication. So anytime I will see that medication, I will automatically think of a grapefruit, and that will work for my exams. As I'm taking my exam, I will see the medication, boom, I see a grapefruit. Like I said, I also like adding little photos or charts or little things. I feel like a lot of the times when I do add any photos, like from Google or like from their own PowerPoints, are usually charts, because let's say I'm learning about insulin. There are short-term insulin, long-term, or regular. There's just so many. And let's say I have to memorize the peak hours for one of my exams. It's best for me just to copy and paste a chart into my review sheet, so I can actually see the chart instead of me typing each like regular. I don't know, I just feel like when it comes to charts and little things like that, I'd rather just add it to my review sheet so I can physically see how it just all separated. It just works. So I do like to add charts and just things like that to my review. Here's an example of the type of charts that I like to add. So the lipid profile, I thought it was easier for me to paste the chart rather than me writing all of this. I think this is nice and clean. So these are the only times that I like to just copy and paste, because I think it's easier for me to look at that than just writing different things. As I show you guys, I do highlight things that the teacher mentioned during lecture that were important, or just things that she kept bringing up. I like to highlight them in my review sheet. So let's say she said the side effects of this medication is very important to know, or make sure you guys understand this. I make sure I highlight it in my PowerPoints. So once I'm writing my review, I make sure I highlight it as well, because 99% of the time, all of those things will be in the exam. Another thing that I like to highlight in my review sheet are things that were on my quizzes. So we do take a quiz every time we have a lecture. So let's say you have lecture, and then the next day you have a quiz. So anything that was on the quiz, I like to highlight. Let's say we were talking about hypertension and nutritional therapy. I make sure I highlight that, because like I said, a lot of the times if they're quizzing you on that specific subject, it's because it's important for you to know it for the exam. Now, a lot of the questions that I got about my review sheet was, what exactly do you add on your review sheet? Which is a great question, because know, you don't want to, like I said, add everything, but you want to add the important things. I'm going to show you guys exactly what I mean by that. All right, so for example, right here, this specific slide only has catabolism, but when I took my notes, I ended up taking all of these notes. Now, I'm not gonna take all this information and just put it here. I'm gonna make sure that I understand the information, and then I just write key points on this side. The more condensed the information is, the better you're gonna be able to memorize things and understand things. So then I go through every slide and I do the same thing. I add the main points, I break it down, I condense the information, and I just make it to where I can just look at it and understand what I'm talking about. Now, there are some classes or some subjects that I do like to make note cards for. For example, when I was in Med Surg, this technique wouldn't work necessarily. I mean, for the most part, yes, but a lot of the times, you know, when you're studying medications, it's best to make note cards. Now, like I said, I don't write anything anymore. I feel like it's a waste of time because it takes me forever to write. I feel like it's a waste of money buying paper, buying note cards, and my hand hurts. So I do have an account with Quizlet, and Quizlet is free. I feel like everybody should own Quizlet or have Quizlet if you're in school, because it's a great resource. You can make your own note cards, and there's also people that share their note cards so you can study their note cards. But I think that it's a great way for you to study as well. So let's say you make your review sheet and there's a few things that you're like, oh, I wish I can study this in a different way. You can also make note cards and just break down the information that way. Maybe just make note cards on things that you're really having a hard time understanding or memorizing, and like that you have this way to study, like a long review sheet, and you also have the note cards that you can study from. You know, it's important for you to always have different resources, but make sure that you have one resource. For example, this study sheet for me, I know all the information that I need to know for the exam is here, so I love that I can just look at this and not feel like, oh my god, I need to study from the book, I need to study from this, I need to study from that. No. I try to do this a week before my exams. I make sure I have it done within 2-3 days, and then I have 3 to 4 days to just study, review it. Like I said, you can print it out, highlight it, you can make notes, you can literally write all over it. It's yours to study. Like I said, I make this review every single exam, and I like to share with my friends, and my friends have told me how much it has helped them. I know how stressful and how messy things can get when you're studying for exams, because that used to be me. I used to have notes all over the table. I used to have my note cards. I used to have my book, my computer, and I would feel so overwhelmed. So this way of just studying for my exams have literally saved me so much time, and I have literally aced every single exam. So please let me know if you guys try this, if you guys feel that this can potentially help you. If you are in nursing school and you have other tips to study, please leave them in the comments down below, because I want to help other people to be successful. So the more tips we can give, the better. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys learned something from this video, because I've been wanting to make this video. I just didn't know how to organize it, but I hope what I said was clear. But if you guys have any questions, please leave them in the comments down below and I'll get back to you. All right, guys, that's all I have for today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment if you haven't already. All right, you guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Mwah.